So welcome to episode 3. It's now July. So a bit of progress been made on the understory of the fruit tree guild around this. This is the mulberry tree here, isn't it? We tried to sow a whole bunch of stuff direct to see what would actually work. A bit of an experiment. The things that did work: borage, trusty old nasturtiums, and also this one here, which is fiddleneck, also in the borage family. We bought that from Chiltern Seeds and it was under a category of green manure plants. That's a potential seam of information to explore, is other types of green manure plants which are good for soil condition or nitrogen fixation. You can see there's some bumblebees on the borage there, so the theory is working about supporting pollinators. Clearly the borage family does quite well in this situation, so I'll look into other things in the borage family. Comfrey is also in the borage family. Everything else that you can see is things that were raised from seed in the spring and have been planted out as little seedlings. So we've got rhubarb, Russian licorice, that's a comfrey there. Some chicory, sorrel around the back there, strawberries and mountain sorrel, another variety of sorrel, yarrow you can see in amongst there, some chives. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. That's all in theory going to work together. That's all the sorrel there. We followed Martin Crawford's advice of not peppering everything about too randomly, but planting in kind of drifts. So it makes it a bit more manageable in terms of if you're going to harvest something or do a particular management operation, you get some economies of scale going on. So they're kind of loosely grouped, not just completely scattered about. Around the perimeter is the rhubarb. It has quite big foliage and it's a good fortress plant, I've heard the term. So it's a good one for the edge where it can overshadow a bit of grass and stop the encroachment of the grass. You can see that one down there where we haven't put too much work into it yet. Already there's loads of nettles and grass. It needs quite a lot of weeding, but what we want to do is use vegetation to try and keep that at bay rather than just constantly weeding. You would have seen in episode 2 some of these shrubs. Gooseberry, red currant, they had plenty of fruit on them and they've since been harvested. This part of the forest garden, it's starting to work quite well. There's, you're starting to get the multi-layered aspect of it with the fruit trees and then the shrubs underneath them. So we are going to go to a nursery to learn a bit more about the options available for this kind of scenario.
I'm John Monday, the manager of Blackmoor Nurseries. Predominantly now the nursery grows trees for online sales. You can see some of the trees, these are spring potted trees. We've got some peaches here. If it fruits, we grow it. Most fruit bushes will tolerate most soil types. When thinking of planting some plants that will tolerate shade, this is a gooseberry. Gooseberry plants, they're quite happy. Don't need full sun. Black currants, they'll be quite happy in the shade. We got some red currants. These already have some fruit on it here already. Container grown plants can be planted at any time of the year. Little alpine strawberries, quite happy in shade. Quite a strange plant. It's called a Japanese wineberry. Bit like a blackberry, but tiny, small little fruits, but very sweet, very delicious. And blueberries. Everybody loves a blueberry. This is a tayberry. This variety is called Buckingham tayberry, and it's a thornless variety. Here we have the loganberry. This one is called a sunberry. This is quite one of the unusual hybrid berries, which is a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry. Absolutely delicious, and the birds love them. If you're looking for something to plant in full sun and to grow up through the canopy, how about a grapevine? And as you can see, the grapevines are now producing their grape in abundance, and these would need thinning out a little bit later on.
One of the principles of forest gardening is to plant things which are going to be useful. that could be edible, of course, but there's a whole nother arrow in the quiver of forest gardening, which is dye plants. I'm interested in these for using dyes for colouring wood as a wood finish, but there's also people working nearby who dye wool, so there might be a link there as well to explore. So what we've done here is used a mattock to just take the top layer of grass off, and so that we can get soil contact below. Then we've put the cardboard on to suppress the growth of everything that we're not choosing to grow here. And then we've punctured through the cardboard and made cored out a little bit of earth. Found the best thing to do that with was a bulb planter. And then we're sticking these little plugs in. Some of these started off with soil blocking, which is where you have a little mould that pumps out a little cube of earth. You need to use coconut coir to make sure that it holds itself together. These plants were things that I considered putting in the area more immediately around the fruit tree guilds, but I've decided against it. The madder is a very strong rhizomatous spreader, so it kind of wants to be in its own area or even container grown often. Tansy as well is a very vigorous spreader, and tansy and the fennel, I've read something about them being a bit allelopathic, so I'm not sure yet about how to combine them. Madder, you can get a red dye from the root. It needs a little bit of time to mature and then you dig it up, so that's a bit more of a medium term thing. And fennel and tansy also have dye properties which I need to look into a bit more, to do with the leaves and the stems and flowers. So we will see what comes of this.